Hello, everyone. I'm Dwayne Bonifer in the Lindsey Wilson University Office of Public Relations, and this is The View from the Hill, the podcast of Lindsey Wilson University. Every week during the academic year, The View from the Hill features conversations with some of the people who help create the dynamic living, learning environment that serves the educational needs of every Lindsey Wilson student every day. In this 15th podcast of the 2025-2026 school year, we'll learn more about what's happening over in the Katie A. Murrell Library. That's managed by Jason Keinsley. He'll tell us all about what's happening in the library and beyond. Jason, quite a busy time right now in the Katie A. Murrell Library. Students are using that, no doubt, as a place to study and get ready for finals.
Oh, it really is. It's been really exciting to see the students taking advantage of some of the physical changes we made in the building, making the spaces a little more comfortable, more group study oriented, and we're really excited when we see something that we make a change to and the students show up and are using it. And this time of year, we're trying some new things. Like next week during finals, we're going to have a night of procrastination where students can come and do some late night studying. I think we'll be open to about midnight. So that's something that we're trying, and that's really one of the most exciting things about being here at Lindsey Wilson is having that ability to try new things and pursue things that we think can make the campus and the library a lot better.
You talked about changes you all made over in the Katie Murrell Library to start this school year. Talk about some of those changes that you all made that greeted students when they returned in August.
Oh, absolutely. We have a really great staff, and they have a lot of great ideas. And so we knew that building needed a little bit of a refresh. So we literally moved our circulation, our desk staff point out into the middle of the rotunda area, and that opened up some possibilities to really look at the spaces and come up with some ideas that might not be necessarily cutting edge, but things that we haven't done before, like creating a maker space, creating a manga or a popular reading area where we move some of the couches out of our reading room out there to make it more comfortable for the students. And it's actually right outside my office, so it's neat to see the students using that space. And we took our government documents collection, and we basically moved that into our regular collection. And we opened up that space by removing some rolling cabinets, and we're going to turn that into a specialized library instruction information literacy space. We're actually trying to find some funding that we can continue to improve those spaces, add more group study spaces, quiet study spaces, things like that.
I want to talk a little bit in a moment about the fact that the library is more than a place of just books, but let's talk a little bit about all the other spaces that are in the Holloway building there. You've got, obviously, the Katie Murrell Library. You've got the Thomas D. Clark Reading Room. You have archives are there. Talk about all the different rooms, the different places that you all have inside the building.
We've kind of changed our management structure in the library to represent how we want to utilize these spaces. Greg Blair, he's over our area with the special collections and archives and the reading room area, and we're really trying to turn those spaces into where we can build our collections and get more of a state-of-the-art space where people can come and actually sit down in the reading room and look at the collections that we have, trying to invest in climate control and things like that so we can have a good plan for long-term storage so we can increase things that might be donated to us from our alumni and surrounding area. Basically, our public spaces, again, trying to utilize those so that we can keep those areas in the back of the library study research focused.
Let's talk a little bit about the role of the library in 2025. You know, everything's digital now, it seems. They talk about reading things online and digital copies of books, but there's still a need for a place that keeps physical books.
And the thing is that traditionally, libraries were kind of rated on how many copies of books they had. And so you would see libraries and institutions have many copies of the same book or things like that. So weeding of those collections wasn't a priority per se. But these days, those collections are still relevant based on the discipline and things like that. Having a book where a student might want to come in and peruse and use that as opposed to an online copy of something. So we're definitely not getting rid of our collection, but we're making it more usable and relevant. We definitely have copies of items that are in both print and online. But one of our strengths as a small academic library is really leveraging our consortial groups that we are involved in, where we can get a large collections with minimal cost compared to going out and doing it on our own. So we have a nice balance of ebooks, online databases, but also print materials, because again, every student's different in how they like to study.
That's what's always, I think, impressed me about the Katie Murrell Library is that students have access literally to millions of books, and within a day or two, you all can have those books for them. That's a wonderful relationship.
Oh, absolutely. And Kim in our ILL department, she's known far and wide in our online programs, and people who don't live on the campus where they can get practically anything in a really reasonable amount of time if they request it through our interlibrary loan program. And there's almost never a cost to the student.
And that's the other thing I think that's impressive about the library is you all serve not just students on the AP White campus in Columbia, but literally all over the world.
And that's something that we have great pride in, even though we might not see a student face-to-face all the time. But we have those resources in their web pages and things that are custom built to be able to support them like they were here. And we can do and take advantage of all the things like the Zoom interactions and all that for anyone who needs that extra help.
What do you enjoy most about your role at Lindsey Wilson University?
I came from the University of Kentucky Libraries, where I was there for 15 years. And what I find working at Lindsey Wilson is a quality of life. It really is. I like the interactions I have with people and the students. We're that perfect size, I think, where you can make really deep, long-lasting relationships, and we have all those resources that some of those bigger schools have. So we have the best of everything here. Our library is completely still the library. The building is not a learning commons. It's actually the library, and we are going to make use of every inch of that space to make us one of the most envied libraries in this state.
You're listening to the Lindsey Wilson View from the Hill podcast. I'm Dwayne Bonifer in the Lindsey Wilson Office of Public Relations. I'm talking to Jason Keinsley. He's Director of Library Services at Lindsey Wilson University. And among the many things he does at the university is manage the Katie A. Murrell Library. Jason talked a little bit earlier about the staff that runs the Katie A. Murrell Library. They're part of the reason that students have such a good living, learning environment on campus. And Jason says they regularly go above and beyond to serve students.
The library staff at the Katie Murrell Library is wonderful. They're one of the reasons why that we are what we are. We recently took a look at how we do what we do, and we worked as a team to come up with some new job descriptions, and I think everyone has just really taken to those, and that just happened over the summer, and the results have been wonderful. I couldn't be more happier with my colleagues Greg Blair and Aaron Wolford. They are my librarian management team. Greg really brings basically all his experience. He's been here for many years, and he's always willing to share those experiences with me to make me a better director. And he's really building up our special collections area in the back and the Clark Reading Room. And Erin Wolford, she's really taken on the role not only as our information literacy librarian, but our head of public services, where she's basically in charge of all the day-to-day public-facing activities, which frees me up to do more of what a director does. We also have Hunter Rogers, who's over our makerspace and our AV area, and you'll always see him helping students print and do all those types of things. He's very visible out in front. And we also have Allison, who's our new circ desk manager, and she really helps hire and maintain the heart of the library, the circulation desk, and all the work study students that make things possible. And last but not least, Kim in our ILL department. I mentioned her earlier. Gosh, when we go and talk to our online students, our graduate students, that's the first thing they mention when you say library is Kim Hamlet. So we couldn't do it without her, for sure.
Kim has helped me on several research projects over the years, and I'm convinced there's nothing she can't find if there is a task or something I can't seem to get the answer to it, or I don't know where to locate it, I'll ask her, so you wouldn't happen to know where to find this? And pretty quickly she'll reply and say, yeah, here are three different sources for it.
Absolutely, and it's not only her breadth of knowledge and being able to locate items, but how quickly she does it. And we're definitely known as a library that other libraries depend upon as well. Really tapping into our collection that we have and things like that. So yes, all of my crew are wonderful, and I'm really looking forward to what we do in the coming years.
What always impresses me about the library staff is that a lot of times you have to look for them when you go over the library, because they're usually not at their desk. They're usually somewhere in the library working with students.
Yeah, absolutely. In the sense of when you basically come in, if you come to our desk, if one of us isn't right there in our office, we're definitely probably just another part of the building helping a student, but we can always be located. And as Greg always told me, one of his favorite quotes from a previous library director is that we're interruptible. And so we're very happy if somebody walks up to our office, and we'll stop what we're doing and definitely give them a helping hand.
The other day, we had the honor symposium for the fall semester. The R.V. Bennett Honors Program was held over in the library, and I thought there was just so much energy and activity over there, because you had the Keith Stearns room where some of the presentations were taking place, the Thomas D. Clark reading room, and then you had students out in the library studying. It was, I think, such a great moment for the library, and it illustrated how the library serves so many different purposes here on campus.
Yeah, it's my goal to continue supporting not only the students, but the other departments, the other committees, the other activities, and use our space for the betterment of the campus, to continually invest in when we make changes in the library building, to have those types of things in mind. Just basically increasing our ability to help and support others is what we're here for.
And the other thing I think that's become interesting to me with the library over the years, and I think about the expansion that we had in the early 2000s that almost doubled the size of the building, is how it's evolved and almost become a kind of academic student center. It's one of the places where students get together, and I don't want to say it's a social place. I think it's social, but it's become a kind of student center for our students.
Yeah, I really like that we can be many things to many people. We definitely don't want to take away from a service that's already being provided somewhere else, but we definitely like to be a redundancy sometimes on some of the things that students seem to want. And even looking at the building in the future, if we can, we go out and we try to find some funding. I even have a crazy idea of adding a deck on the back of the building that you would use from going through the library. It could be used for classes. It could be used for study. It could be used for just that, again, hanging out at the library. So we have lots of ideas. We're just getting started, and we're really appreciative to President Luckey and the campus just in how they support us and supporting us as we look out to try to find ways to make these things happen.
It's been said before that the future ain't what it used to be. And I always think that's an appropriate quote when you're thinking about libraries, because I remember back in 1987, I was having a conversation with University of Kentucky President David Roselle, and he was saying the library of the future will be held in a closet because people will access everything on computers. And I had a hard time understanding what David Roselle was saying at the time, and of course, it turned out that wasn't the case. The University of Kentucky built a 5-story library within probably 15 years after, less than 15 years after he said that. So I guess it's hard. What I'm saying is it's hard to predict the future of libraries, the future certainly of an academic library. But where do you see that future headed? What's the role going to be 5, 10 years from now of a library on a college campus?
Well, I think that basically it will still look a lot like it does today, but as we've seen with things like you mentioned, the computer age, and things that like Google Maps or Wikipedia and all these things that we came across and we're like, whoa, what is this and how's this going to change everything? I definitely think that the AI will will impact how we do things, but the most important thing is that we still teach the students how to use these resources responsibly, because without that, it doesn't, if you're not doing that research process, if you're not thinking for yourself, you're being told what to think. And that's where we really need to continue to have this on-campus interactive experience and teaching students how to really think and problem solve and all those things that employers want out there. Because AI, just like everything else, is just a tool. But, we still need our humanity. We still need to have that ability to reason and to think for ourselves. So I think that's what the library will continue to be. Now, whether or not it's a bigger building or a smaller building or more or less books, the mission's still there.
That's Jason Keinsley. He's Director of Library Services at Lindsey Wilson University. To learn more about the library at Lindsey Wilson, just go to the website, lindsey.edu, and search library. And that's going to do it for this 15th edition of View from the Hill for the 2025-2026 school year. You can tell us what you like or don't like about this podcast by firing off an email to us at news@lindsey.edu. Be sure to put podcast in the subject line. Also, be sure to encourage your friends, co-workers, family members, associates, and neighbors to subscribe to A View from the Hill. They can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and on the college's YouTube channel. View from the Hill is produced by Shelby Burton. She's Lindsey Wilson's Assistant Director of Public Relations and Media Producer. And until our next edition, I'm Dwayne Bonifer in the Lindsey Wilson University Office of Public Relations. Thanks so much for listening. So long, everybody, and have a nice day.